Okay, so I'm going to talk for just a minute about what you might do. Let's say that you have already created this amazing screencast. It sounds great, it looks great, it's got all the content in there that you need and that you want. What are you going to do with it? So we have numerous options, and I'm sure that you are aware of many of these already. The easiest thing for you to do with your screencast video when you finish with it is upload it somewhere that's free, that doesn't care how big the file is or how long it is. Some of the easiest places to do that would be YouTube, TeacherTube, SchoolTube. Depending on the purpose of the screencast, any of these would work fine. If it's for students, you might want to focus specifically on something like TeacherTube. What I have found is that people go to TeacherTube because they're interested in educational videos. And so what you may find with some of the screencasts that you create is that not only are you benefiting your students and those that you're intentionally trying to reach with your screencast, but you may also end up helping a lot of other people as well. I have found that well put together screencasts attract quite a lot of attention on places like TeacherTube. YouTube is really easy to use. You can create your own account and have your own channel and upload your videos there. So all of your screencasts could be held there. Some people have a little bit of a hesitation about YouTube, perhaps, but there are different settings in YouTube. You can choose to have your video private, where nobody can find it. You could have it public, where anybody could find it if they're doing a search for your topic. Or you can set it to, um, there's one more setting, and I just lost the word, where it's not published, but it's available. So in other words, people can go on YouTube and find it if they have the link. So you can share the link out with them and they can access your video, but maybe it's a video that it's not really intended for everybody. Maybe it's a specific video for your students or for parents or for clients. So you want them to be able to access it, but you don't want it to be found in a general search. And so that's an additional setting that you can do with these videos. Another possibility, obviously, something that's very important right now is Google Classroom. You can upload your screencasts into Google Classroom and share those out with your students. So let's take a look just for a second at what that might look like. So I realize that many of you that are currently teaching have probably delved pretty well into Google Classroom at this point, and I may just be showing you something that you already know. But if you haven't yet, I'll just show you real quick. This is a Google Classroom that I created for some of my undergraduate students. And I'm looking at the main page of the classroom, which is the stream. I'm going to jump over here to the classwork tab and choose create. And I'm going to create a new assignment. And when I go to add, I could have uploaded my screencast directly into Google Drive and I could just share it that way. Maybe I uploaded it to TeacherTube or SchoolTube. I could get the link to the video from those platforms and share the link that way. I could directly upload my screencast from my computer, or I could even go out to YouTube and tag it in right here. The nice thing is that Google owns YouTube, and so they make it real easy to connect YouTube videos with your Google Classroom. So those are some options that you could do with Google Classroom if you wanted to share your screencast out that way. Right? There's two other things that I wanted to look at today, and because the focus of this session is on screencasting itself, I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time with this. But if you haven't had the opportunity to explore these two platforms, you may find this to be pretty exciting. One of the things to think about when we create a video for others to watch is the act of watching a video is a fairly passive process. So what if we could do something to make our videos a little bit more interactive? And that's what these next two platforms will do for us. And they are called PlayPosit is one, and then another one that's very similar to it is Edpuzzle. And what I like about these platforms is you can actually go in, upload your video, and you can add questions into your video so that the video will play for your students or whoever you want to watch the video. And at certain points that you determine in the video is going to stop and a question is going to pop up. It could be a multiple choice, it could be a true false, it could be an open-ended question. And the students have to complete the question before they can move on, if that's how you set it up. So what I like about it is not only does it make your screencast become interactive, it also adds an accountability level to it. So I'm going to jump out and go back to the web here. And we're going to start off by taking a look at PlayPosit. So this is the website where you would go to access PlayPosit. PlayPosit has where you can sign up for free. It also has, like many of these platforms, to get their full features, you have to get a subscription. But I have found that the free version works pretty well. And I do want to say, before we get going with this, that you may, if you're going to have your students interact with PlayPosit or Edpuzzle, you just want to make sure that your district has approved that platform for your students to be on. Some districts are very careful about those kinds of things and will only allow the students to access approved platforms. Some districts aren't quite as restrictive. I would suggest, depending on where you are, just double check and make sure that PlayPosit and or Edpuzzle are platforms that have been approved, and at least people know that you're going to be taking your students there. I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. And like so many of these platforms now, if you have a Google account or some other, a Microsoft account, you can log in using those, which makes it very easy. So I'm going to choose my USA Google account. And go ahead and get into what it looks like. So PlayPosit calls the videos that you create or that you pull in, they call them bulbs. I have no idea why they call them bulbs. I'm thinking maybe it's like an idea, so like a light bulb going off in your head. I'm not really sure, but that's the name that they have assigned to these. So the first thing you need to do is create a bulb. And I'm going to click on Add New Bulb so you can see what that looks like. And it's given me some tips and pointers. I'm going to jump right into the designer. So when you first get on, you'll see that you have a few options here. You can access your videos. You can pull in the link to a video, say you've already uploaded it to TeacherTube or SchoolTube. You can upload a video from your computer. You can even record a video. You can also grab videos from YouTube or Vimeo. But I do want to say, to be able to upload videos to their platform, you do have to upgrade to their paid version. So we're not going to worry about that. What we would want to do is just go, for example, to YouTube, and I can do a search on YouTube. So if you upload your screencast that you've created to YouTube, you can go in and find it here, and then you can pull it into PlayPosit. I'm going to type in chicken chores. This was a video I created some years ago for fun with my kids. So here's the chicken chores video. It's up on YouTube. So I'm going to pull that video in. And I'm going to say done so that I can get into the editing of the video. So this is what it would look like when you get in to start working with your bulb. And the idea is, you can see down here at the bottom, there is the play button, and then you've got the white ball that indicates where along the video it is. And I have a button here that says to add an interaction. So let me play it for just a second. You can see my son's filthy room as he's getting out of bed and getting ready to go.
I like to get up in the morning and take care of all the animals.
Okay, so Brady likes to get up in the morning and take care of all the animals. So what I'm going to do right here, it tells me my little bar right here is at 16 seconds into the video. I'm going to add an interaction right here. I can add multiple choice, fill in the blank, a poll question, free response. So I'm going to do a quick multiple choice and just say, Brady likes to take care of the animals. True or false? And then over here on the side, I can indicate that the question, that true is the right answer, and then hit done. So now what's happened is I have just added a question into my video. So when my students go to watch this video, when they get to the 16th second in my video, the video is going to stop and this question is going to come up. They're going to answer the question and then they can continue on with the video. So you can do this all throughout the video. So there's important information you want your students to focus in on. Put a stop right there and ask a question. It can be open-ended, like you saw in here. It could be true, false. Okay, so I am finished with my bulb. I would go back and get this all completed. And now I have this chicken chores bulb, and then I also have one that I did that was on using video in the classroom. So the next thing I have to do is create my classes. And I won't spend a lot of time on this, but you can go in, you just click there, you add a new class. And let's say, for example, here's my example class. I'm going to click here and I can add in learners. So the nice thing about this, and this is what I love, this is the accountability for these bulbs or these screencasts that you would share with your students. They need to join, and you can share out the URL, send it out in an email, they click it, they come in, they join your class. You could upload if you had a spreadsheet that had everybody in your class or whoever you wanted to join the class, you could just upload it and enroll them yourself. All right. So after you've created your classes, you then go in and you assign one of your bulbs. So you have to have already created a bulb and then you assign it to your class. So I'm going to go back in. I want to show you just real quick, kind of on the accountability side. Here is a bulb that I assigned to some students, and I can see on here that I have 29 responses. So at the time that I assigned this, 29 of them went in and did the work. I'm going to look up here in the grade book. And it gives me their names and a percentage. And it's not that they did that bad. It was that not all the questions had a right answer. So they actually did really well on this. But what I want to show you is this page right here. This is what I love. This is the back end of it. I can see every student, what they answered. I can click on their open-ended questions and I can read their response. I can see how much time they spent on my video. So if nobody got started on it, I can see that. If they spent, I can see the average is in the 20, 25 minutes or so, and that looks good. I can actually download this data as well, and I can download it into a spreadsheet. So now I've got some accountability. So not only are my students going in and watching the screencasts or the videos that I've assigned to them, but now I can go in on the back end and I can see how much time did they spend on it. Was there a question that was missed pretty often? And if there was, I know that I need to go back and reteach that, or I need to address that issue with my students. So there's a lot of really good information that can come out of this. This is a great platform to share out your screencasts that you create. The other one is Edpuzzle, and Edpuzzle is very similar. Same kind of idea where you're adding that accountability and that interaction into the videos. So I'm going to go into my teacher account. And again, I can do this through Google. And with Edpuzzle, it's set up very similar. They don't call it bulbs, but you have your content. And you also, over here in the top right, you have your classes. You create your classes, invite your students to join your class. And I'm going to show you just real quick. I'm going to click Add Content. And I'm going to choose to, one thing that is nice about Edpuzzle that's different from PlayPosit is in the free account, you can upload a video direct from your computer. So if you created your screencast and you didn't connect it to YouTube or some other online platform, you could upload it directly to Edpuzzle from your computer. I'm going to choose Create Video. And you can see over here that you have access to all of these platforms where you can search for videos. And that's what's cool about this. It doesn't have to be videos that you've created. Like the one that I just grabbed on the PlayPosit site, that was a video. Yes, I had created it, but it was just a YouTube video at this point. I can click on YouTube here and I can do a search for any topic I'm looking for. And I had done one earlier. Let's see. So food chain, and I had picked this one with the cool alligator. So what I want to do is, here's this video, and I want to edit this video. So the first thing you can do is you can go in, maybe the video doesn't, maybe there's things in the video that you don't need. Maybe they're not pertinent to what you're instructing on today, or maybe it's just content that you don't need to cover. You can actually go in and edit this video and take out sections of it and just remove them so that they're not in this version of the video that you're creating. You can go over to in VoiceOver. So you can record yourself talking through parts of this video, which is pretty neat. And then you can go in and you can add your questions. Multiple choice questions, which could be true or false as well, plus open-ended questions. Same kind of idea as PlayPosit. You are adding some accountability and some interactivity to these videos, and then you're sharing them out with your students. In the same way with PlayPosit, you can also go back and look to see student interaction.
Dr. Gaston.
Yes.
We have a few questions from the chat window.
Absolutely.
So one of the questions is, can you upload any YouTube videos onto PlayPosit just like Edpuzzle allows?
Let's see. Yes, I believe so. When we went into our bulbs, when we go to add a new bulb, I'm going to enter the designer here. So one of the things I can do, I can right here, when I'm searching for deciding what videos I want to use, there is a YouTube tab. So I can click on YouTube and I can do a search. Or let's say, for example, let me pull up real quick here. I actually have the chicken chores video pulled up on YouTube. So I'm going to copy the URL up here for it. And I'm going to put that in here. So I just copied and pasted the URL for that video into the search bar there under the YouTube tab, and it immediately pulled it up. So absolutely, you can pull them over. Great question.
Great, thank you. We have a few more.
Of course.
Is there a way to have the questions read so that students in our lower grades could listen to the question instead of reading it?
Yes, I would say for that, since Edpuzzle has the voiceover option, you could tie in the voiceover in that way.
Oh, poster. Get the poster.
Okay. And I'm trying to think with Edpuzzle, with PlayPosit, let's see. If I I go forward a little bit
Care about the animals.
and add an interaction. I was looking to see if it had a place. I don't see on Play Pause It where I could make it an audio. I love that idea though. I would say maybe Ed Puzzle is going to be your best bet because it does allow voiceovers. So that's what I would suggest if you want to do that, is to use Ed Puzzle and see if you can ask the question, or you could just record yourself, do a voiceover of yourself reading the question, and just tie that voiceover with that question when it comes on the screen.
Great, thank you. I think for now, that's all the questions from the chat window.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to pop back over here to the presentation, and those were just a few platforms, some things to think about on the back end after you've created your amazing screencast. So what I'd like to do now is back up just for a second, because I realized that I had not been able to, I did not get to mention a few of my additional tips last week. So I want to hit those real quick, and then we'll jump into the screencasting itself. So some things to think about, some additional tips, and I'll cover the original tips in just a minute, but some things to think about when you go to record a screencast. I suggest that you practice, and I put that little thing in there to say, because most people, when they start doing this for the first time, they're like, do I really sound like that? That is not me, but it is. That's how you sound to other people. And it can be a little jolting sometimes. You have in your mind the way that you sound because it resonates through your skull and all that. But when you hear it played back to you, if you're not used to hearing your own voice, it can be a little shocking sometimes. So what I would recommend, not only to give yourself a chance to get used to your own voice, but also you want to do some recordings and go back and listen, because you may find that you have some tics, some verbal tics that you were not aware of. Because when we're nervous and we're presenting in front of people, or we're doing something that we know is being recorded, we may say a lot, or we may say, or we may say have some other verbal tic that we say when we're in the process of thinking of what to say next. And it's important, I think, to go back and listen and see if you do that, because if you do, it's good to know, because then that whole metacognition thing happens and you become aware of yourself, and you can start trying to not do it. Because if you say something like a lot, people are going to pick up on it, and then that may become a bit distracting for you, or for your listener, and they become focused on the fact that you're doing that and not paying attention to what it is that you're actually trying to teach them. So it's a good practice just to kind of get used to it, and making sure that you at least become aware that you're doing those things, if you are, so that you can start working on eliminating those from your screencasts. Something else is to have some notes prepared. If you're going to do like I'm doing today, where I'm sharing my screen, but you can also see me on video, sometimes you're not going to be showing yourself on video. So it doesn't matter. You could have your notes written down on the side, and you could just be reading those notes. But if you're going to be on video as well, you might want to have them strategically placed somewhere so that your head's not down and you're reading your notes the whole time, when people are also being able to see you on your screen. Another thing to think about is, like, for example, when I went to the web, I already had the tabs opened that I wanted us to visit, so that you didn't have to waste time watching me do a Google search for those different web addresses, or typing in those web addresses. Something else was, I wanted to enter those websites logged out, so that you could see the login process. And so I tried to prepare and have all that done ahead of time, so that we would be in good shape and just could get through it a lot faster. Thinking about background noise. Most of you, if you're like me, you're at home and I'm not the only one here. There's things we can't control. If the kids come busting in, if the dog decides to come in and see what's going on, or if the mailman comes, because Fang has to protect us every day from the mailman because she's such a threat to us. And so he has to let her know that he's here and protecting us. Those kinds of things happen when we are recording. But what I'm talking about is more of a persistent background noise. So if there's an air conditioner running that's really loud, or a fan, or something clicking or tapping, or something that might be distracting to your viewer, those are the kinds of things that we have more control over, rather than just a sudden burst of a dog barking or a child yelling or something. So do the things that you can to try to minimize some of that background noise. The other thing that I want to say is the main product we're going to look at today, the ScreencastOMatic, it has a 15-minute time limit on the length of the video in the free version. That may be as long as you need it to be, but if you're doing a longer type of lecture or presentation and you need it to be longer than 15 minutes, just record that first one, pick right back up with the second one where you left off, and then you can pull it into some other software and link those videos together to create one video. If you're using a Mac, you can use iMovie. It's free and it's already loaded on your machine. If you're using a PC and you have Windows 10, Microsoft used to have Movie Maker. It was a great video editor. I love doing workshops for teachers on that, but they did away with it. And what they've done is embedded all of the video editing capabilities into their Windows 10 Photos app. And so with either one of those, they're free and they're already loaded on your machine. You can pull your different videos down into the timeline, string them all together, and export them out as one video if that's what you need. So there are some things to help you with that if your video needs to be for longer than 15 minutes. Okay, so before we move on, let me just ask one more time if there's any questions. And what I'm going to do at this point is back up and kind of start back over from the beginning where I did last week and jump into screencasting itself. Do we have any questions before I get started? Okay.
I don't see any in the chat window.
Okay. Dr. Hulan will let me know if any come up. And again, if you attended last week and you've already seen this information, I completely understand if you want to log out and get on with your day, but you may want to stay and get a refresher. You will have access to the video from last week and this week's video as well. I also have a Google document that I'm going to share with you that has links to everything that we look at today. So you'll have that along with this presentation as well. So what we're going to look at, starting back at the top now, is get a definition of what a screencast actually is. And then we're going to talk about why you might want to create one. And then the core of what we're going to do with the time we have left today is talk about the tools, what's available, where I'm going to focus on what's free, what's easy to use, and we'll get you jumping in on doing screencasting today. Also, the other part of the things that I told you I was going to talk to you about things to take into consideration when you create a screencast. The rest of this, I already gave you the other tips, and we already talked about the ways that you could share your screencasts. So, and of course, along the way, Dr. Hulan will chime in and let me know any questions that you may have. Okay, so let's start with what we mean by a screencast. And this is the definition from Wikipedia. A screencast is just a video recording of whatever it is that you're doing on your computer. And typically it's accompanied by audio. So there's some kind of narration that's going on which helps us to understand what it is that you're walking us through on your computer. So we have a few examples. This was just real quick. Sal Khan from Khan Academy, very popular screencast videos.
Straightforward primer on perimeter and area.
So Sal Khan has software that allows him to write on his tablet or whatever it is that he's using, and it's also recording his audio. And so I'm sure you're familiar with those kinds of videos. And then a very common type of screencast, the most common that you would see, is just a video of someone sharing what's on their screen, and it's usually a piece of software, and then they're walking us through something that they're doing on their computer. So this guy's just talking to us about an audio program called Audacity. Okay. So that's typically what you see when there is a screencast video. So in thinking about why you might want to do one of these, there's a number of reasons that I thought of why these might be important. If you're trying to present some information, and obviously in the situation we're in now with the schools being closed, if we've got presentations our students need to see, this is a great way to do it. Rather than just sending them the PowerPoint, this is actually a recording of you giving the presentation, and then you can make your comments along the way. Maybe you're providing instruction. Short screencast videos could be great to send out to parents, to students, to clients, to employees, whomever, that need to see some instructions on what to do. So you could do a quick screencast showing someone how to navigate to Google Classroom, or how to access a particular tool or piece of software that you need them to work with, or how to get to a certain website, maybe some resources available through your school district. You want to show the parents how to get there. And again, you could upload that to YouTube and then just share it out that way. Maybe you're showing examples. So if you're a math teacher or a language arts teacher and you're trying to write out some things and you need to show the people watching the video what they need to do, you could do it to create some examples, and of course tutorials, the how-tos, like we just saw the guy was doing a tutorial on the software program Audacity. So I'm sure you can think of some other things. For the sake of time though, I'm going to go ahead and jump forward to the next slide. And this one, we won't worry about this one today. Last time I was getting an idea of how many PC users and Mac users we had. The large majority of everyone was a PC user. So what I'm going to focus on are mainly, what we're going to look at right now is a free program called ScreencastOMatic. It's free, it's real simple to download and to use, and it's available to work on a PC or a Mac. And so that's the main thing we're going to look at. I'm going to skip over QuickTime. The QuickTime screencasting capability only works on the Mac. You can download, and you may have QuickTime Player on your PC to be able to play certain movies and that kind of thing. But on the Mac, it also has screencasting capabilities. But I'm going to skip over that one and look at PowerPoint. If you have PowerPoint loaded onto a Windows machine, it has the screencasting tool within PowerPoint. Unfortunately for Mac users, the screencasting capability in PowerPoint is not there in that version. So we're going to start off by looking at ScreencastOMatic. So let me jump out and go back to the web. Get over here to Screencast. So this is the website. It is screencast-o-matic.com. And you'll need to create an account. It's free. And like I mentioned before, so many of these platforms will have free versions that will have limited capabilities. And then in order to open up the tool and utilize all of its capabilities, you would need to get a subscription. But for our purposes, the free version works great. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. Okay, so when you get logged in and set up, this is what you'll see. And what I want to tell you two things about Screencast-O-Matic. You can either download a piece of software, download the actual software and keep it on your computer and launch it from your computer anytime you want, whether you're on the web or not. Or you can do it to where you only launch it when you're on the web. I personally like to be able to access it regardless of whether I'm on the internet or not. So what I did is went over and did the download install. But I also can launch it right here from the website by clicking on the Start Recorder. So it really just depends on how you plan on using it. If you, let's say for example, you have a Google Chromebook. Chromebooks don't have very large hard drives. There's not a lot of room to store programs on it. It might be more convenient for you just to launch the recorder from the web. You just have to be logged into your account in order to launch the recorder. Or there's one other option. If you use Google Chrome as your web browser, you can actually install a Chrome extension for Screencast-O-Matic. So let me show you what that looks like. You just would go, you could do a Google search for the Chrome extensions or go to the Chrome web store and do a search for the Screencast-O-Matic launcher. And you can see down here, there's a lot of different programs that will do screencast. One that's very popular is Screencastify. And Screencastify is designed to be used with Google Chrome. One reason why I'm not talking about Screencastify today is that the free version only allows you to record for 5 minutes. And like we mentioned before, Screencast-O-Matic allows you to record up to 15 minutes. And so 15 minutes may be more than what you need for most of your videos, but typically 5 minutes may not be enough, especially if you're a little long-winded like me. So let me go back, and what'll happen if you install the Screencast-O-Matic Chrome extension is, if you can see over here on my screen, I now have a blue dot. That is the Screencast-O-Matic launcher. Now it's the web-based launcher, so I have to be logged into my online account in order for it to be used. All right. So, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually launch it from my computer where I have it downloaded on my computer. Leslie Nasser, I see you're having to babysit at the same time. God bless you. I suspect that you are not the only one having to do that right now. Let's see. Get this up. Okay. So when I first go to open it, I'm telling it that I'm using the free recorder. So yes, I'm using the free version. And then give me just a second. I'm pull this up here. I've got two different screens I'm working with here. If I can get it to come up. Okay, there we go. So there's a little bit of a lag here, and it's picking me up from my other camera, the one down here. So what I want to show you about this is what it looks like. I can choose to record from my screen, from my webcam, or from both. And this might be a nice feature that you would want to use if you want your students or clients or whomever to be able to see you while you are presenting your information. So you can see on here that it has me a little bit faded out. And let me switch over to this other camera here. Okay. So here's the camera that you're used to seeing here. I can actually drag this around and put it wherever I need it to be on my screen, because if I'm going to include a picture of myself, I don't want it to interfere with whatever content it is that I have on my screen. You'll notice that I've got this black and white bar around. This is the recording area. So I can choose what part of the screen I want to have recorded, or I could go back to the little sprocket here and I could choose to record the full screen. So I could capture everything. And there's different reasons for that. You may not want people to know what day and time it is that you're making the recording. You may have other tabs open that maybe they don't need to see. It would just be distracting. So there's different reasons why you may not want your whole screen recorded. You also want to check and make sure that your microphone is being picked up. And you'll notice the green bar moving across to indicate that it's picking up my microphone. So I'd want to test that and make sure that's working. Now, the computer audio is something that is in the paid version. If you're using an external microphone, or even the microphone that's built into your computer, if you start playing a video in the middle of your screencast, the sound is coming out of the speakers on your computer, and then the microphone is going to pick that sound up. So it's technically, you're going to be capturing the audio from the computer anyway. But what this means is if you want it to capture it internally and have really good quality audio that doesn't sound like it's distant, like it's being played through a speaker and picked up by a microphone, then you would need the paid version. But for our purposes, it's really not that big of a deal to just leave it the way that it is. Okay, so I have my preferences set, and I have selected, and I can maybe resize this just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and hit record. I get a countdown, which is nice, so I can get prepared. And now you'll notice that the rectangle around this area has changed from black and white to red and white. And that's to indicate that we are now recording. And I have the microphone is showing down here, and it's counting down. I've got or counting up. I've got my 15-minute limit. And so whatever it is that I need to share, I can do that right now. I can actually leave here. I think I could pop over here, and my window went away. Maybe it's just recording on this particular screen right now. If I had something else that I wanted to bring up into this screen, I could do that. Anything that I'm doing within here is going to show up in my recording. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit pause on this. And then I'm going to go back and play it and see what that looks like. Prepared. And now you'll notice that the rectangle around this area has changed from black and white to red and white. And that's to indicate that we are now recording. And I have the microphone is showing down here, and it's counting down. I've got or counting up. I've got I wanted to show you, I think I picked it up in here at some point. I can do that right now. I can actually. Okay, you see my cursor, and my cursor is surrounded by a yellow ring. That's a feature that I really like in Screencast-O-Matic. It helps the viewer be able to track where you are, and it will highlight certain things as you move around and click. So it's nice to have that yellow ring around the cursor. One precaution that I would give you is be mindful of your use of the cursor. Be purposeful in your movement. If you use your cursor to talk, and while you're thinking, if you're spinning your cursor while you're thinking, that can be very distracting to people. So be mindful of that cursor and try not to overuse it. Okay, so let's say I have made this recording and I'm happy with it. I click done. I can go in and I'm going to click on edit so that you can see. In the free version, there's not a lot of tools that I can use for editing. Let me pull the editing window up here so you can see. What you can do to edit is you can remove stuff off the front of the video and you can remove stuff off the back of the video, but you can't cut anything out of the middle. So say, for example, in the middle of the video, the dog starts barking and you have to stop and go deal with that and then come back in. You're not going to be able to cut that out of the middle of the video with this version of Screencast-O-Matic. You could pull it into a movie editor like iMovie or the video editor in the Windows 10 Photos app, and you could cut that out. But what you can do with this one is, let's say you hit record and then maybe you forgot to turn your mic on, or you're fumbling around a little bit to get everything set up on the screen. You can remove that from the front of the video by just grabbing this tab and pulling it in so that the video will start right where you want it to. And then maybe you're finished with your presentation and you forgot to click stop, or maybe you're fumbling around a little bit and you need to trim off a little bit off the back end. You can do that as well. You can even, in the free version, you can even add music to your video. I've played around with this some, and it actually does a pretty good job of putting the volume of the music low enough that it doesn't interfere with your voice, because that's really the main thing. If you're going to add background music, you don't want it to interfere with the primary voice, because then you're taking away from the intent of the video most of the time. But there's some music that you could add in here. And when you get finished with it, you have a couple of options on the free version. And this is what I love about Screencast-O-Matic, is I can just download it to my computer. And that's really important. Some of these places are going to make you upload it to their platform and you have to share it out from there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I prefer to have the control. If I want to download it on my computer, I can do that, because then if I need to do any editing on it beyond what this little editor can do, I can do that. I could upload it to the Screencast-O-Matic website and share the link out that way. Like we talked about ways to share out your video. I can also upload it to YouTube, which is nice. So if I clicked on that, I would need to go in and connect my YouTube account with this program. But once I did that, I could upload it immediately to my YouTube channel and it would be ready to go. So those are a few options. If you wanted to do more, you would need to get the paid version, and it gives you other platforms that you could directly upload to. Okay, so I'm done with that, with my editing. And let's see, I'm going to choose to save it to my computer. Right? One thing that I can see on here, and this is one thing I wanted to tell you, it's going to save it as an MP4 file. And that's really important to know, because that is the universal platform for video. So saving it as an MP4 file means that it's going to be accessible by any machine that can do that. So that's going to be a good thing to be able to do. All right. So I'm going to save my video. I gotta say, question?
Dr. Gaston, while
Yes.
you're saving that, we had some questions and comments in the chat window. So one of the questions is, can you record part of your video with both your video and audio and screen recording, and then do other parts with just the screen recording?
Yes. Yes. So let me get out of this one. And let's launch it again. That's a great question. These are like some people here asking the good stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna launch the free one. Get it back up here again. Okay, so let's say I start off with both, like we are, and go ahead and start recording. Okay, so we're recording along. I've got some things. I want you to see my face. I'm talking to you, and then I'm going to pause. And it looks like it looks like actually what I would have to do is, it looks like I can't pause it, change the settings on it, and continue going. So what I would have to do then is record the part with my webcam on it and make that one video. And then I could record a second video without the video on there of me. And then I could, oh, you know what, there's one thing I want to try real quick. And then I could just splice those two together. But let me try something else real quick. So I'm going to hit record on here. Okay, the recording's going on. I wanted to see if I could switch over in the middle of this. Boom. Okay. Yep, there you go. So that's how you do it. So I'm actually recording right now. What I did is I went to the tools that are up here in my options. So full webcam, which nobody needs to see that. Sorry, I backed that out. Or I could jump back over to, and that should get rid of it, but it doesn't look like it's getting rid of it. I was thinking it should disappear, but it doesn't look like it's disappearing. And it's not going to let me pull it out of the thing either. So I thought I had it figured out, but it looks like I could go from me being really small in the corner to me being really big, which I don't really want to do that. So it looks like what you'd have to do is 2 separate recordings and then splice those together. So it's a great question. Any other questions about that?
I don't think we had any other questions. Someone shared that Real Player has a good free trimmer and downloader.
Very good. Good, good. All right. So very quickly, because I know we've only got a few more minutes, I'm going to jump over and show you something with PowerPoint. And to do that, I'm actually logged into this, this Zoom session on 2 different computers. And I need to get over to my son's PC so that you can see that. So let me stop sharing here. And Dr. Hulan's going to switch me over.
Yes, I've already made you a co-host.
Okay. Cindy Bostic, I can see you. If you can hear me, would you give me a thumbs up? Okay, thank you. All right, just need to make sure that I was there. So let me share this screen with you. Okay, so we'll minimize this. So here I am in, and this is my son's. I had to log him out of his work he was doing. But I've got a Mac that I use for work. So here we are inside of, I just opened up a generic PowerPoint. I haven't done anything to it yet because what I want to do is show you the tool here. So what you do is you go up to the Insert tab in PowerPoint. And on the far right of the ribbon at the top is the screen recording, which is your screencasting tool. So I want to show you what happens when you click that. So when you click it, PowerPoint assumes that what it is that you're wanting to record is not within the PowerPoint itself. It's something else on your computer that you're trying to record. So it minimizes PowerPoint. The PowerPoint's still there and you could pull it up for your recording if you wanted to, but it's been minimized at this point. It gives you this floating toolbar up here. You've got your record button that when you're ready to launch it. Typically, you're going to be recording audio, so you would have that on. You can select the area that you want to record, and you can also decide whether or not you want your cursor to be visible in your recording. So it actually can hide your cursor if you don't want that to be seen. You can also choose to either pin this floating toolbar so that it's visible while you're doing your recording, or if you unpin it, it's going to float up and out of sight in case you're trying to record the whole screen and you don't want it to be seen. So I'm going to go ahead and select my recording area, and it gives me the crosshairs. I'm just going to drag across and pick a spot. And this, now anything within this rectangle is going to be, anything I do in here is going to be recorded, and it's also going to be picking up my voice. So I'm going to hit record, and it's going to give me the same countdown that ScreencastOMatic did, and you'll notice that my toolbar disappeared. If I need to access it again, I just hover up near the top and it comes in. But at this point, anything that I do on this screen is now going to be recorded, and it's also picking up my voice. So for example, I'm just launching Firefox here, and if it takes too long, I won't do it. But so, okay, so we've done a few things on here. Now I'm going to hover up to the top and I'm going to hit stop. I could pause if I needed to and then pick back up, but in this case, I'm just going to hit stop. Now, what happens when you use this tool in PowerPoint is the program assumes that whatever video it is that you're creating was done so to embed into a PowerPoint slide. So it immediately grabs the video that you just created and it stuck it on the blank PowerPoint page that I have here. Which, if you're embedding this into a PowerPoint video, a PowerPoint, then that's great. But if your intention is actually to use it outside of PowerPoint, all you have to do is make sure you're clicked on the video and then right click and choose Save Media As. And then it's going to pull up your folder, your navigator, and you can choose, give it a name and pick where you want it to save. And now I have saved this video clip on my computer outside of PowerPoint. So let me open that back up so you can see. All right, so here, it saved it in Documents. So I'm gonna go back to Documents. Here's the video, and it saved it as an MP4 file, which I mentioned before is that universal file format. Okay, so I'm going to, it looks like we have hit the 2 o'clock mark. One thing that I wanted to tell you is I have shared with you some links to some microphones, because sometimes using the microphone that is on your computer may not be the best way to go. So audio is a big deal. So actually on this one, I actually have this nice ball, this blue microphone. And on the other computer on my Mac, I have a Rode. This is a broadcast quality mic, and I use it for other reasons, so it was worth the investment for me. I have links on the Google Doc that I've shared with you to 3 different microphones at different price ranges. The lowest end one is $25, and then these 2 are more expensive than that, but you can at least get an idea. If you're going to be doing a lot of these, I would recommend looking into getting a nice microphone, because good audio makes all the difference in the world.